Walking out of this movie last night, I've really only had one thought ringing through my brain. Why did it take Disney acquiring the Predator franchise to actually make a good Star Wars movie? What are you doing? Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to my raw reaction review for Predator Badlands. Cast out from his clan, an alien hunter and an unlikely ally embark on a treacherous journey in search of the ultimate adversary. So last night I got a chance to check out Predator Badlands, and I have been over the moon excited for this. Both Luke and I are huge Predator fans. He's also been really looking forward to this after we saw Killer of Killers especially. And unfortunately, Luke could not attend this screening. It just didn't time up with him. He had some family stuff going on at that moment, so you're only getting me, myself, and I in this review, but it's going to be spoiler-free, and we'll be saving our spoilery thoughts for a video we'll be releasing either Friday or Saturday later this week once some of you have had a chance to see the movie. I can say with full certainty that everything over in the Splattercast camp has been really positive for this movie, but it seems like we got a little bit of a late in the game blemish for this when it comes to the hardcore Predator fans. Yeah, this movie was given a PG-13 rating, and instead of me ranting and raving and getting into why it got that and why all of this criticism is kind of goofy, let's just talk about the movie. Let's start off with the pros, and the biggest one I can give this movie is, as a longtime Predator fan, as somebody who has loved these movies and the Alien universe, I have been begging for them to go to some of the source material here, and we've started to see shades of that since Dan Trachtenberg took over after what was the abomination that was Predator 2018.
So come and get us, motherfucker.
Even if you don't read comic books, but you can go back and watch some of these videos where people break down what the comic book stories were and what they were bringing into this universe, you will find that the species of the Yautja are so deep and so well thought out. Them as a culture, as a society, have many different levels and traits that we desperately need to start pumping into this film franchise if we ever want it to be beyond anything than just, we go to a jungle or some random place and time and we just start hacking people to death. That's what Predator Badlands does. We open this world. We get to see a side of Predator society that I have been begging for, and I know many other fans have, and we get to spend a little bit of time there. And I really enjoyed that. I really loved setting this world up, setting up the conflict, especially in the film. Obviously, it's very important that we have a very clear-cut understanding of what our main character's objective is and why they're on that. And although I can say this isn't anything that's going to break any boundaries or really blow anybody's mind as to what and why this Predator has to go on this hunt, I think it plays to a classic story, something that we've all witnessed, played in video games, or seen before, and they execute it really well. Not only do I love the world that we're set in just visually, where we have sweeping shots that, again, make this movie feel like it's in league with something like a Dune or a Star Wars movie. The world of the Predator feels like we have taken a massive leap up. This is still, in a lot of ways, a contained story, putting Dek, a singular Yautja, on a planet really sort of by himself with just, kind of a robotic companion and maybe some other things. But even before those characters are introduced, we really get a sense for who Dek is as a character. He is this young, kind of hinted towards to be underdeveloped, weak, runty predator. There's been a lot of criticism of just the look and design of Dek from just his mandibles and everything, and admittedly, there are some shots that I'll get into a little later in my cons that I think do justify some of that criticism, but just going through films like Prey and then Killer of Killers, I already know that Dan Trachtenberg has this thought out, and they very much deliberately go through why it is such a big deal that we follow Dek and why his odds are so unfavorable to this horrible monster world he finds himself on. And rounding out my pros, I gotta say, Dan Trachtenberg once again finds a really great way to balance, the horror and the action and the sci-fi here. Now, you could think those three go hand in hand all the time, yes, but to varying degrees. And this, to me, is one of the best. This feels, again, like we've elevated the Predator franchise, and we haven't lost the grit. Again, the MPAA does not care if you are an alien with blue, green, or white blood. Even if you vaguely look like a human, if your blood is not red, they will give you a PG-13 because they do not hold back. They cut, they slice, they decapitate. Predator is doing Predator things to a medley of different living creatures. Getting into my cons, I can say overall this is an ambitious movie. And, it succeeds on almost every front. But I think as the Predator fan that I am, as somebody who was building this up and looking forward to it, we get a little bit of the Predator lore and backstory when it comes to just how they operate as a society, and we've kind of been getting that teased over and over again throughout this franchise. I need to just see it. Like, I thought this was going to be the movie where we really get to see some of that and really work into it, and really where I'm landing at with this con is that I think the movie should have been a bit longer. I think they should have had the cojones to just say, all right, we are actually going to take a half hour, 45 minutes, and just spend more time with the Predators and this clan and establishing how this works. Because the thing about it is we are expanding the world and we do have a nice vessel with deck, but I think we need to understand, and I think the broader society of people watching this movie who don't look up this stuff need to understand what exactly the Predator Society is, what exactly they, think about, what they're spending their day-to-day doing. I'm not saying it has to be a day in the life of the Predator, but we need to have some kind of hierarchy established here soon. Getting into my next con, I hinted at it a little bit that there were some shots where deck didn't look the best. I can say that this seems to be more or less a new style, taking on and bringing the Predator to the screen. I don't believe there was a prosthetic head for this one. I think for the most part it was all CGI, and I think they're getting there with it, but again, I do miss the prosthetic head. I do miss seeing all the detail that you get in there, and you do miss that from Deck a little bit here. It does, unfortunately, make him feel so much like an outlier when you're comparing him to the other Predators in this franchise. And rounding out my cons section, I gotta say that the villain of the movie, the kind of our main antagonist, they were interesting at first, but then quickly I could see that we didn't have a whole lot thought up for necessarily what they were here to do. It's a very simple, to the point kind of objective, and I just feel like we had an opportunity to really play with some stuff there. I feel like that's where the alien side of this universe really kind of just seems like a bit of a garnish rather than them actually working in anything concrete as of yet. It's more just kind of like, hey, Wayland Yutani's here. Alien is in the universe. You know that. The people know that. Nobody else gives a fuck. Like, it's just what it is. It's just like, it has no bearing on what the characters do. It's just kind of there. And I just felt like that was a little bit of an unnecessary addition, if that makes sense. As a Predator fan, as a fan of all the comics, the Yautja itself as a species, as a character, this definitely has moved the dial forward in this franchise, where we have desperately needed to start taking these creatures as more, sympathetic, as more, characters rather than just the movie monsters that they've been framed as forever. Don't get me wrong, now, we're not taking the teeth away from them. They are still very monstrous, they are still very brutal, and they get a lot of things done. But I think that really where this movie needs to do, and what it has set itself up for, is that we need to take a greater step forward. We need to keep pushing. We need to make sure that the Predator franchise universe can really elevate itself and prove to everyone that it can, in fact, stand toe-to-toe with things like Dune and Star Wars and hell, even Avatar. There's this mythological fantasy element that can be injected into this franchise that makes this very much a self-contained swashbuckling tale, but I think that we can move forward from here and really bring this franchise to, again, greater, bigger, and meaner heights. That's why I'm going to give Predator Badlands a solid recommend. This is certainly something that I will be watching again this weekend. I hope many of you give it a chance. Go check it out, especially if you're somebody who's like, oh, it's PG-13, Disney-fied Predator. Check the movie out. I mean, I swear, if you're actually a fan of this franchise, I promise you they've done nothing that's going to bother you here. So there you have it, guys. There's my review of Predator Badlands. Let me know down below if you're going to be checking this bad boy out. Are you huge Predator fans? Are you excited to see what's coming next for the Yautja? Like I said at the start, check back here later this week where you'll be getting both my unfiltered thoughts and Luke's unfiltered thoughts, complete spoiler review of Predator Badlands. We're going to dive into every nook and cranny of what Dan Trachtenberg has served us. And yeah, it's a good time to be a fan of Predator. It's a good time to be fans of Alien. I really hope we can keep this up. So that's going to wrap it up here for me, guys. Until next time, I'm Dylan Newell. And remember, stay scared.
Do the hard shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Splattercast, gonna slash your ass. 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 Splattercast, gonna slash your ass.